What's up guys, it is Jake from the Sanctum squad. So today I just want to make a short video talking about Dominus Spiral, which is a new card that was revealed to be in the Doom of Dimensions that comes out later on this year. It was revealed last week in the OCG, and I've played some games with this card just to see how it feels and stuff. So basically it's a hand trap, so it says if your opponent has activated an effect in the hand or grave this turn, you can activate it from your hand. Target one monster your opponent controls, return it to the hand or extra deck. Then if you have no traps in your grave, your opponent can special summon a monster from the graveyard. And if you've activated it from your hand, you can't activate the effect of light or dark monsters for the rest of the duel, and you can only activate one per turn. So it is like similar to the other Dominus cards like Purge and Impulse, where you can activate it from your hand and then it locks you out of specific attributes in the game. Something that I do want to immediately talk about though is the attributes that this locks you out of. So because it locks you out of light and dark, that is actually like critical in the current, like if you look at the game, like the meta game at the minute. So if you look at Mitsurugi, it's all dark. If you look at Royal, it's half light. Malice is all dark. The Fiendsmith engine is all light. Even decks like Blue Eyes, like they're all light as well. Yumi is light. Dracatail plays, I think there's one dark monster in the deck at the minute, so potentially could maybe see playing Dracatail, but just in general this card doesn't really have a place in like the current meta, in terms of being able to use it in the decks that are available to us. So what we're looking for with this card are like possibly future decks where this card will shine. You can play this card in decks like Mermail, for example, where obviously you're only playing water monsters anyway, so like the light or dark restriction doesn't really affect you. But I do want to say that with this card, this one does have a few stipulations that make it a little bit weaker than the other two Dominus cards. So we've got, when I say Dominus cards, I mean Purge and Impulse. Songs of the Dominators we'll talk about in a second. So Dominus Spiral, first of all, it has an activation requirement, so you can only use it if your opponent has activated a monster effect in the hand or grave. So it's basically got the same activation requirement as Izuna. That's not too much of a problem because a lot of decks will still play into that. But the problem is the having the trap in the graveyard clause. So if you don't have a trap in your grave when you activate this card, your opponent just gets to reborn a monster. And from what my experience of playing with this card so far is, if you are using this card as a hand trap compulse to bounce a monster back to the hand or extra deck, you don't really want your opponent to be summoning a monster from the grave to immediately replace that monster, because generally they can just continue playing because you haven't really achieved anything in terms of like card economy. You've taken a monster away from the board and you've let them revive another monster. So yeah. Also with this card, like I think this card will really shine if you are gonna play the other Dominus cards. So if you look at the deck that I've built here, we've got a Traptrix deck. So what's cool about Traptrix is it can already play Purge because it's a mono attribute deck. It's all Earth, so it doesn't really get it's not hurt by Purge, and the engine of the deck isn't hurt by Spiral either. There's just some of the cards in the extra deck that you can't use if you've activated Spiral, but you just have to play accordingly. And obviously Impermanence also naturally synergizes with Spiral as well, because Imperm is a trap that you'll activate turn 0 and it will go to the grave, and now you don't have to worry about your opponent reviving a monster. Obviously the problem there is that Imperm is actually getting worse as the game develops. So Imperm is probably I think the very existence of all these new hand traps that we're getting in the form of Dominus and more Charmers, the idea is to make better hand traps than the ones that exist in the current game. So that's why Impermanence and stuff like that he's going to start to fall out. But yeah, so Dominus Spiral, I think it's an okay card. I think it is a good card, and I am excited for its release, and I'm excited for the implication of one or two more new Dominus cards getting revealed as well, because I do think as well that with the release of additional Dominus cards, they naturally become better because they are traps that synergize with other traps. So we'll talk about Songs of the Dominators. So this card says, if you have no monsters in your grave, which we're not actually playing any monster hand traps in this list, you can activate it from your hand. So when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, you can negate that effect. And then if you've got a trap in your grave, you can search for a Dominus card. So Traptrix is sort of like a perfect sort of deck for to be able to like test Spiral in, because it can naturally play Songs of the Dominators, because we're not going to be playing any like monster hand traps anyway, because we can play like these natural trap hand traps, which means that like you are going to get your search off your Songs of the Dominators more consistently and stuff. Also in this deck likes to play evenly naturally, because this deck wants to discard a trap card in its engine. So like Hoyutea is one of the most like key cards in the Traptrix deck, and it requires you to discard a trap card. So the idea with the Hoyutea is that you play the best trap cards going second, and then when you go first, you just sort of like perform your normal combo. So that's why you've got like these 12 hand traps, and then like you got the evenly matched as well. So yeah, so this card being able to search for Purge and Spiral is obviously really good. There are some other decks as well that can play like Songs of the Dominators, Purge or Impulse, and then it can also play Spiral as well. Something that I have thought about is potentially like a Trap Infernoid deck, because this card doesn't conflict with Infernoids either. So this card is also really iffy, because this stops you activating monster effects in the grave or hand until the end of the next turn, full stop. So there are like that does conflict with a lot of decks. So there are very few decks that will actually be able to play Songs of the Dominators, the other Dominus card, and then Spiral as well. So Traptrix is sort of like one of the very few decks that can actually play them all. And then so this is what I mean like with Infernoids as well, because Infernoids are actually all summon conditions. They're not actually effects to summon themselves, so you can potentially play Infernoid because you're playing all fires at that point. You can play Impulse instead of Purge, and then you can play the Spirals as well. But yeah, this is just like a basic Traptrix deck that I built. Like I haven't really played Traptrix a lot. This is just something that I thought would work as like a husk to test this new card and to see hey its potential, because I think it does take a very specific kind of deck to be able to like utilize this card to its potential. Like obviously this deck, like I said earlier about like Mermails, Mermails can probably play like Impulse, Imperm, and then like you can potentially play more Charmies and Spiral. Like you could do that, but like I'm not sure if that's going to be like. Would you rather not just have a better hand trap than Spiral, that considering that you need to draw Spiral as almost like a 2-card combo going second for it to not suck? So yeah, I think in my opinion so far, I think Impulse is definitely the best Dominus card, and then I think Purge is the second best, and then I'd put Songs of the Dominators as third, and then I'd actually say that Dominus Spiral is the worst one as it stands at the minute. But I do think that with the release of additional Dominus cards, this one will get better, because naturally you'll have more trap cards that are hand traps to synergize with it. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe.